Okay, so episode 62 of Play to the Whistle podcast. Usual host, myself, T Dot, and Kieran. But we're joined by no other than Man Knows Football Goonie. What are you saying, my bro? What are you saying?
I'm good, bro. I am here, fam. Obviously, I'm happy to be here. How's the man them doing?
Good, man. Can't complain. Nice little win. 3 points again.
Nice
The
and
usual.
easy, bruv. And a clean sheet.
Yeah. That's the key thing, actually. The clean sheet is the key thing. Very, very key, man. But just let the listeners know where they can find you, because obviously you've got your YouTube channel, 2,000 subs and creeping up every day. But let the listeners know where they can find you as well.
You can find me YouTube, Man Knows Football. That's my main channel. You can also find me on Troops Back Again. I'm part of the Free and a Pod.
Man, but then I message you and you're like, yeah, you gotta come on, and then you gotta take the camera out.
Yeah, that's it. I literally like, yeah, babe, look. Yeah, here you go.
No, I hear that, man. But let's just get straight into it. Obviously, we've mentioned it already. Big London derby. Tottenham 3-0. Chelsea. Goonie, I'm going to start with you. What was your thoughts? What was your thoughts on the game?
Well, first of all, I can proudly say this because I did put this on record on numerous different platforms. I guess that Chelsea were going to win 3-0 against Tottenham. I've said many times I'm at a stage with Chelsea where I'm not even concerned about who scores the goals no more. I just care about clean sheets. You see, my mentality now is we're that good that I'm looking at every single team as 3 points. And for that reason, I'm going to be a little ambitious and say that we should chase that defensive record that we have set. And I believe we can do that with this manager.
Yeah, I agree. I think I said before that I think we're one of the teams that have definitely improved, not just over the last 12 months, but definitely even when Frank Lampard was there were signs that we were improving the team. We were building beyond Frank Lampard as well. I know we spoke about that, Goonie, as well. The fact that when we brought in Havertz, Werner, Ziyech as well, those kind of players that we were bringing in, it wasn't mainly just for Frank Lampard. It was beyond. Obviously, Frank Lampard was meant to be the stopgap anyway because of the transfer ban and all of that stuff as well. So just in terms of the game as well, because obviously there was changes made, forced change in goal. Mendy picked up a slight injury against Zenit as well. Kepa comes in, Thiago Silva returns. There was Kante on the bench as well. But just in terms of the game, what did you think how we started? Because I felt that we were under a bit of pressure. The way that Tottenham started the game, 20 minutes, 30 minutes in the first half, they were on top of us as well. But we waved that storm, man. We done well. But what's your thoughts?
The thing is with us is like I've said, we tend to start slow. We let teams come at us. We absorb pressure. We saw that against Arsenal. First 10 minutes, it was the same thing. Arsenal had like a little bright spell where they came at us. Now, obviously, I would like everybody else to see Chelsea have a better start and just dominate games from the scratch. But I actually think there's a part of me that believes that Tuchel does this purposely to drill our defense. Just to make sure, because you've got them teams that are just like, for example, Pep Guardiola. This man is drilled to get as many goals as you can go. Keep going. But defensive-mindedly, he's not there. I think Tuchel's the opposite because he knows that there's going to be games where we're going to go down to 10 men. Liverpool, we're going to have to be defensively tight and on point. You see what I'm saying? So that might be the reason why he does things like that. I'm just speculating here. But from what I saw, there was a lot more danger than what I was comfortable with, particularly with Ndombele. I thought he was the main man for Spurs. He controlled everything. Everything good was going through him. You saw how brilliant he was. He was press resistant. He had the vision. He was finding players. He was including Dele Alli into the play. He was bringing in Son into the play. They looked dangerous at times. You see what I'm saying? But yeah, second half, it was a completely different story.
Yeah, definitely. I think we were screaming out for that sub. Kante needed to come on. But Kieran, I just want to ask you as well in terms of Spurs, because defensively, they're brilliant going forward, but defensively, they just look shaky at the back. I think they've still got Eric Dyer playing centre back. He's not a centre back. Dele Alli started the season really well, but then he's kind of gone back to the old Dele that we've kind of seen of late as well. But what was your thoughts on the way that Tottenham played? Because I've got my own opinion, but I'll hear yours first.
I'm gonna be real with you. They played like a mid-table team. Like that's how they played. Not even in a bad way. Chelsea are that good that they made them look like that, but they played like I'd expect Nuno to set his teams up. Yeah, they've got some really good players in there, but I've never really ever been impressed with Spurs defensively. There's always been a little weakness. And as Alderweireld and Vertonghen got older and left the club, that's been gaping. I've never really been a big fan of Lloris, although he was amazing yesterday. That could have been cricket. Like, I'm not even kidding. The amount of saves he pulled off. But Romero's going to need a bit of time to get used to it. He's a very good defender. I've never been convinced by Dia in any position, if I'm honest. Like, he's a good guy to have around the squads. Like, he knows it. But first half was quite equal. Second half, it was just a shambles. Like, just the goal from the set piece. I don't know what happened there. Maybe it was just really clever by Chelsea, but you end up with Thiago Silva on Dele Alli. Explain that one for me. I can't understand that. Like, that's crazy. That's the first goal, and it all just crumbles from there. I'm not blaming Dele Alli, but I can't really figure it out. I'm looking at the lineup. I'm not really understanding what the system is. And Goonie, you mentioned Pep before, and I think, yeah, he's a guy, he's ruthless, yeah, when it comes to scoring goals. But his main thing is if the other team don't have the ball, can't score. Do you know what I mean? With Spurs, I just look at them and I think I don't really understand if you're going to be good defensively, if you're going to be good at offensively. If Kane's not on it, it's tough. I don't know. I was impressed with him in the first half, but I could just see this happening. And also, don't take it away from Chelsea. They were superb. For me, yeah, I don't know who's going to stop them personally. And that goal record, like you said, it's going to be tough, but they could do it.
One thing I wanted to mention, because obviously remember last season I was very critical of Kepa, and I feel like now the pressure's off him, because before, when he came in, there was this big expectation that he was going to be Chelsea's number one. He was going to, do you know what I mean? And he done that. The thing with Sarri didn't help him as well. And I think Mendy coming in has changed that. It's taken a lot of that light off him. The pressure's off him. I feel like he's coaching. He's obviously maturing as a man, as well as just as a player. But I feel like now I'm not nervous when he's in goal. Do you know what I mean? He's definitely commanding. He's very vocal, which he wasn't before. He looked like a little mouse in the goal. When he first got to Chelsea. Now you see him coming out. He's commanding. He's making sure that he's clearing the lines. He's like a sweeper keeper. Even against Tottenham yesterday, I think it was Son. He was through on goal. He just clears it out, and that's what we need from him. But for me personally, he's coming on leaps and bounds, and you can kind of see why we've retained him. Obviously, the wages was going to be an issue, try and get rid of him, but I think he's definitely one to keep on the bench. And even the Carabao Cup game that we've got coming up in the week, I'd play him because I think he deserves it. Obviously, if Mendy's still injured, he may have to start against City, but I'm confident as well. But I wanted to talk about Thiago Silva, Goonie. Man of the match performance again. Like, he's not the fastest guy, but he doesn't need to be, because he's a football brain. His brain is just wired defensively. Do you know what I mean? But what was your thoughts? Man of the match.
You know what? I wanted to say head and shoulders above everyone, but Rudiger's been that good that he wasn't even that far behind him, right? And that's testament to Rudiger as well. So big up Rudiger, because he has been, to me, I know this about Thiago Silva, but I have to get this out there. To me, Rudiger has been the best centre-back in the world for a few months now. I'm not even joking.
No, it's true, man. It's true.
Everything you throw at him, he's dealing with it confidently.
You're going to have the Liverpool fans after you, though.
Single sign of stress. Listen, I don't care. Van Dijk, all these people, they can have them. It's fine. They listen. But no, Thiago Silva, that performance that he put in, he just picked up from where he left off against Zenit.
Yeah.
Literally, because the man is just so composed, and he just reads the game so much better than everybody else. And the thing is with him, is you got to pre this. English isn't this man's first language, you know. But look at how he marshals that defense. Look how everybody listens to him. When he speaks, everybody listens to him. Everybody's on song. That communication is there, which is key. You need that one centre back that's in there that can control what's going on and that has the respect to be listened to. We're lucky to have two, and that's Rudiger and Thiago Silva. But then going forward, obviously the goal, if you watch the header again, Dele Alli, because Dele Alli had an eye on him. But I think what stopped Dele Alli from really committing going to Thiago was the fact that he was uncertain as to when he was going to time his run. Because initially he started from outside the box. But then when the ball came in, it appeared that Dele Alli was standing tight on him. But he had just got there. By the time Ali had realized, Thiago's up. And when the centre back's up in that position, you can't do nothing because anything that you're going to do there is going to result in a foul or possibly even a red card. But his performance all round is just, bro, leader, absolute leader. If it wasn't for what Aspie's done for the club, that man should be captain, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. I think as well, it's going to be a shame because I don't think we're going to retain him after this season. But I'd like to still have him around the club. Do you get what I'm saying? Because I think even just the experience for like the likes of Trevor Chalobah, Christensen, having that experience there as well, very similar to like obviously John Terry when he was there, the days when he was going as well. So I think it's going to be a shame when we lose him, but I'm confident with Trevor Chalobah coming in, Christensen, Rudiger, like you mentioned as well. We've got plenty of cover there, and obviously Koundé, because I think that deal will happen, if not in the winter, then in the summer as well. But just before we move on, I wanted to talk about Harry Kane really quick, because I feel like since the Euros, he's been getting a free pass. And by that, I mean in terms of the fact that you're shaking your head, Kieran, I know, but I'm gonna let you. But no, I feel like he's getting a free pass because before the Euros, obviously we know about his record and everything. Even going into the Euros, he finally turned up at the sort of outside the group stage. But even looking at him against Chelsea, I think he started on the left. He started relatively okay actually, but then as the game goes on, he creeps into central midfield a lot. For me personally, I don't want my number 9 in midfield. Whether he's trying to, he's not getting a service and all of that stuff, which I think a lot of people have said over the weekend that he's not getting a service and that, but he's still got. You got to do more. You've got to do as the number 9. You got to do more, in my opinion. And he's not doing that. And I feel like this is all the aftermath of the Man City deal, not getting that. Obviously, he wanted to move. He's had to come out and save face and make out like he wanted to stay at Spurs when we know that he didn't. But Kieran, I'll throw it to you. So do you think Spurs are going to get the best out of Harry Kane this season based off of the way that he ended last season and what happened in between in the summer as well?
Firstly, I've got to say Rudiger is one of the best in the world. Great shout. Defensively amazing, but I know that's not the question. Harry Kane, what you got to remember with him is he, aside I think of last season, I want to say he's not a quick starter anyway. So he's not usually banging goals in at the beginning of the season. That's one. Two, he's played a lot of games. He picks up loads of injuries. As he gets older, it's going to take him time to get his match rhythm. I feel that's what he's struggling with mentally from playing a lot of the games, playing in the Euros. Remember as well, we have to take into account when players lose finals, it's a physical toll, obviously playing in it, but also mentally losing it as well. I think the Man City thing, yes, he did want to leave the club, but it's not like sometimes when a player comes into a club, you buy a player, he develops it and wants to leave. It's a bit different with him. I don't feel like he wouldn't perform because he wanted the City move. I feel like he'd put his all in. Yes, it might have affected him, but also, why is he playing on the left? It's Harry Kane. Why are you putting him on the left for? I'm not a tactical genius. My manager experience is limited at Football Manager and a little bit of coaching with some under 15s. Nuno must know what he's doing, but it's going to take time for him to get used to a system, but I just wouldn't play him there anyway. So I think all of those factors, if it gets to December and he's got 2 goals all season, then I think questions can be asked. But I think there's too many factors at the moment. It will be 5 games in. Tottenham ain't going to win a league. They're probably not going to finish top 4, in my opinion. It's kind of a minor, but he'll. I would be surprised if he still doesn't clear 20, 25 goals this season. He just needs his rhythm. That's my thoughts. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that, Goonie, as well.
Harry Kane, listen, I rate him as a top quality striker. I've never at any point in my life thought he was elite. So I'll start off with saying that I don't necessarily want to use the City move failing as a scapegoat as well, because that's too easy to lean on. Because with the expectations that we have of Harry Kane and the way he's described as a model professional, this is not behavior that you should be showing. See what I'm saying? So in terms of his performance, to me, that's not an excuse. It's something that T-Dot said, is the man keeps crowding out the midfield. And it's not that he wasn't doing this before he was linked with City, because he was. That's a habit that he did. He did that throughout the Euros to a point where we were screaming for him to get off. Like, we want somebody else to start up front. I don't know why he's doing that. I don't know if he's being asked to do that, but clearly Harry Kane doesn't have the awareness when to come back and when to push forward, because there are strikers that can do that. Harry Kane, I don't think he's got the timing to do it, because time and time again, I saw Spurs get into dangerous areas. There's no striker in the middle. Harry Kane should be their bread and butter. Lukaku earlier in the week, the service was poor against Zenit St. Petersburg, but he held his discipline. See what I'm saying? Look what happens when you hold your discipline as a striker. Managers know that as a striker, you might not get too many touches on the ball, but as long as you occupy your centre backs, you keep pulling them and you keep, doing what you're supposed to do as a striker, your opportunities will come. And that's what happened. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So with Harry Kane, I don't know what's going on with him. I know he is a quality striker. I think personally it's a dip in form, but the City move for me is like maybe a 10-15% factor as to why he's performing the way he is.
It's interesting. It's interesting. It's going to be good to see that sort of spread out over the season. But I agree. I don't think Spurs are in the title race anyway, so he might get his move anyway at the end of the summer to City. So let's move on and leave that one there. But let's talk about Liverpool. Another convincing win, 3-0. Sadio Mane, 100th goal. I'm going to throw this to you, Kieran. I know how much you love Liverpool, so. Talk to me about Palace, man. Was it just too much for Vieira to cope with?
You know what, you're gonna turn Jesse against me, saying things like that. But yeah, look, the penalty decision aside, for me, Palace should have had a Stonewall pen. I don't know how. There was a lot of dodgy penalty decisions this weekend, but that was one. But yeah, it's Liverpool. I think Palace actually didn't do too badly. Like, they held their own. They defended as you'd expect. But all of the goals that Liverpool scored, what are you going to do to stop that? Keita's goal. Mane, I think there's a stat. I think he scored 10% of his goals are coming against Palace, something like that. He's inevitable. He's going to score against you. Do you know what I mean? As in, he scored 100 goals. I think 10 have come against Palace, which is a great record, by the way. If that's accurate, I think it's something like that. I think I mentioned this before, so I'm just going to keep it moving. But Liverpool are the Liverpool we probably should have seen last season. This is the title defending Liverpool. They had all the injuries last year. I don't know if they had burnout, whatever it was. But this side, these are going to be Chelsea's closest challengers, the way things look at the moment, because they just look hungry. Palace just couldn't deal with them. I think with Palace, they played all right. We saw them play really well against Spurs. How many teams are going to go to Anfield and do that? Unless you're Chelsea. Do you know what I mean?
Just about to say that.
Yeah, I know. I'm outnumbered here, but yeah, there's not a lot of sides that's gonna do that. So there's no shame in that. I think if you're a team outside the top 4, Liverpool games are free hit. You can try and defend and nick a point. Southampton, I think, got a result. Burnley have got results against them previously, but you just kind of move on. But I was impressed by Liverpool, to be fair, and all the goals were amazing. But again, I'm gonna keep it moving and move it across to Goonie. I suppose what I'm interested in is I don't know if you man are saying, because I know T Dot's on the fence about Chelsea being the favourites, but are we looking at a team the way they played this season that's going to be up there and challenging and staying a distance? Because I think that for me that's the main question. I don't know. What's your thoughts on their performance, but on Liverpool as title challengers?
I think Liverpool are the best of the rest, and I think Chelsea are still the ones. I'm very confident in Chelsea being favourites this season. I put myself out there a million times already.
He said it with his chest.
Liverpool, for me, you've got to make the comparison of the teams that they've played. Now you got to make a comparison with the teams that they've played this season so far in comparison to Chelsea. We're keeping clean sheets and conceding only a penalty in open play. Liverpool, fair play, they've done the same thing, but their goal was conceded in open play against the first real big test that they've had. They didn't pass their first big test. The other teams, you'd expect them to beat them. Not saying that, they might not beat City or they might not beat United, because I actually fancy them to. But my thing is with Liverpool is that come January, they're going to lose a lot of key players. That's Mo Salah, gone. Mane, gone. Naby Keita, gone. Matip. With him, there's a question mark because I'm not sure if he retired from Senegal early or not. But if he didn't, okay. Even if he doesn't go, those are 3 talented players that they need. Obviously, the front 2 are going to be more key than Keita because they got more cover in the midfield. But I think they're going to suffer once they see those 2 attackers go. So I'm not really too worried about Liverpool. Best of the rest for me.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. 100%. I feel like in terms of the way that Liverpool have started the season, I expected them to beat all the teams they have. And I expected them potentially to have a very difficult game against Chelsea, which they did. I think for me personally, I don't think Van Dijk's fully fit. I think they rushed him back. You can see that in terms of the way that they rested him against AC Milan. That was a big game for them. I know that he would, if he was fully fit, he would have started that game. And the fact that they didn't start him tells me that he's not potentially fully fit in that sort of way that they want him to be. I agree with you, Goonie. I think as well, when they lose Salah, they lose Mane. Obviously, Harvey Elliott was kind of coming in. He was playing a bit of a part. They've lost him. They're going to be looking at Diego Jota for the goals. Who's a very good goal scorer. He's obviously got a very good record so far with Liverpool. But I just think, I think they were playing like, no disrespect to him, but I think even playing like a James Milner, you can't play him regular all the time now as well. I don't think he can play week in, week out as well. So I think obviously they're going to be up there. I think we can all say that 100% they're going to be up there. I just don't know whether they're going to have enough about them come January when the games are coming thick and fast as well. If they're going to be able to compete with the likes of City and Chelsea, for me, I don't think. I've always said that they've got no squad depth, and I think they need that in order to be able to compete in the Premier League. I'm gonna let Rodri have his say on this. We're talking about Liverpool, Crystal Palace, and what we're speaking about at the moment is, can Liverpool push for a title challenge alongside Chelsea, obviously, who are front runners, maybe with Man City as well. And United.
Yeah, well,
I'll throw them in there in the mix.
Listening to the back end here, you're spot on. The top 11, they're going to be challenging, but it's if they've got that strength in depth, and like you said, when the games come thick and fast. Van Dijk's coming back from a horrendous injury. He's a big unit, so he can't rush that kind of injury. Because he's a must in your team. So yeah, I just agree. If you keep that same 11 and you can rotate and you stay clear of injuries, then yeah, no doubt you'll be in the mix. But it's a long goal season, isn't it? As you know.
Yeah, 100%. I think in terms of the game, I think Crystal Palace just played Liverpool at the wrong time. Obviously, they had a very good victory against Spurs, but I do like Palace. I think they're kind of going in places. I think whether Vieira's the right man, we're not sure yet. We need to give him a bit more time. But I think in terms of the team, Edouard looks like a very good player. Conor Gallagher's there as well at the moment. Mark Guehi as well. They've got a very good spine, very good players coming through as well. But I do think that it was just probably the worst time to go and play Liverpool. But yeah, I agree with you. I agree with what you said there, Rod, as well. That in terms of Van Dijk, it's going to be a long journey for him because it's a big injury, and some players don't even come back and hit that full peak that they were eventually going to get as well. So it's going to be interesting.
I think I kind of disagree with you on the stuff with James Milner, though. If you see James Milner, Zaha did not get a kick. He's so experienced. If you look at the stats, he's at the top. So when he comes in, that's the kind of refresher you need to come in and be an 8, a 9, or a 10. And that's what James Milner gives you in a variety of positions. He's a key man in. I disagree with you saying you can't play every week in, week out. I think he can, but you don't want him to. You want him to be sat on the bench. If anyone needs to be a right back, a midfielder, a left midfielder, a right midfielder, he's your perfect man. But you do need more quality like that.
Do you think Liverpool will have to go in at the next window and bring some players in? We mentioned before, I don't know if you missed this bit, Rod, I think, but we were talking about obviously Mane, Salah going to the African Cup of Nations as well. So can you see them coming in and potentially having to spend, which they don't necessarily like to do? They don't obviously spend big. So can you see them doing that?
I don't think no one likes to spend big mid-season. You're not getting them your full value from. You can't play them in the Champions League if you bring in quality players, they're going to be cup tied in Europe. So it's very rare, and Liverpool are not big spenders anyway. So when they do buy, they buy quality, and so it's quality more than quantity there at Liverpool. So I don't know if the right player comes up. I'm pretty sure that they'll be in the market, but I very much doubt it, mate. I think they'll wait till the summer and try and hold out and see what they've got. It's disappointing as well. The Harvey Elliott injury, because he looked like he was, going to be having a big season for Liverpool. So that's a big blow for him. So possibly.
It's going to be interesting. I know you said, Kieran, before that I'm on the fence, but after watching the way that we played against Spurs second half, it's Chelsea's title to lose, man. I'm sorry. I know that's a biased thing to say, but we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the most controversial game, I think, for me, but also lost me a lot of money in my bet. So I'm going to have to talk about West Ham, Man United.
You betting against United, Phil?
No, do you know what? I did both teams to score in both halves. It was and a couple of other stuff as well. But let's talk about the game initially before the penalty incident as well. Kieran, I'll throw it to you. Give us your thoughts on the game.
Firstly, you should remember that West Ham played in Europe, didn't they, midweek? So they were never going to win this game, and they were never going to. They played okay, but that was definitely we played on Thursday performance. And we're not used to that because they did all right. I thought, because I'm like with Ollie and especially Bruno Fernandes, that they always get the brunt end. But I thought Ollie, I think, picked the team that he needed to pick. I don't think, I know a lot of people don't like McFred, but against West Ham, you need that, and especially against a team that will tire over time, which they did, which is why United came back. I think it was a good team selection. I think, to be fair, United didn't play that badly, despite going down. I'm not gonna go into just the defensive mess around that goal. It was really poor for me. But these things happen. You get a deflection. But no, I feel like they took the goals well. Obviously, Jesse Lingard's goal was a banger. Ronaldo, I think that's a question I'm probably going to throw out to all of you. Just how good is he at the moment? Is this just like a good start, or is he a 36-year-old that can tear up the Prem for the whole season? But yeah, I thought United actually played well. For Ollie got most things right. He got his subs right. The performance was pretty good. I think Wan-Bissaka played quite well. Shaw was a bit unlucky with the pen, but pen's a pen. But my big shout out actually was David De Gea. I thought, given all the criticism that's come his way the last 2-3 years, because he's been dreadful. Let's not skirt around that. I thought he was penalty aside, by the way. I thought he was amazing yesterday. I thought he was one of United's best players for me. So I was really impressed. But I'm not going to talk about the decisions because it's tiring. I'm going to actually throw this at Rodri. How did you find the performance of United? And What did you think about the especially the decisions as well? 'Cause there's quite a few going on there.
Well, where to start? Decisions. The performance, it's West Ham's got the tails up. Yes, they're missing Antonio, but away win there. It's always a good result. We always seem to play well there. A lot of goals. So, but yeah, it's a good result. Anywhere away from home in the Premier League at the minute is a good result. But especially West Ham with the tails up, it's probably a good time to play, say, without Antonio. Penalties. There could have been 2 for us and definitely 1 for them. I don't know where he was getting. I just don't know where he's getting the free kick from to us. But he's a bad in him. There's a couple of bad refs in Mike Dean, bad uns. So yeah, he's just a bad day at the office, the referee. But he has a few of them a season in. So you could expect to be great win, great goal for Jesse Lingard. So happy for him. He scored at the start of the week, gives a goal away. And then wins a win at his old club that he spent a year on loan for and had a successful time there. So yeah, it's a good win because, like I say, they've got the tails up then. Yes, it's probably a good time to play him because Antonio gives anyone problems. He's fast, he's strong, left foot, right foot. So yeah, good win, mate.
Goonie, I want to ask because you mentioned Kieran before about CR7. Is he past it? Is he still good enough? Is he still? I don't think those were your words, but it was along those lines. But is he still good enough in terms of being able to play what the expectations are? Think of what United are expecting out of him. Personally, I think he is, but I want to hear what you think, Goonie, as well.
No, absolutely. He's one of the best players to ever play football. Certainly top 3 in recent times, 100%. Whether if he's in my all-time list is a different question altogether. But you can never write off Cristiano Ronaldo because you see the thing is the biggest deception is his age, 36 years old, but his body's really conditioned like a 30-year-old. Down to everything, down to his diet, down to his sleeping routine, down to just what he does with himself in his life. It's just dedicated to football. And you can see the rewards that you're getting from it because to come into the Premier League and hit the ground running at any age is difficult. Cristiano makes it look easy because his movement is absolutely incredible. It's not the Ronaldo that obviously we saw before he left for Real Madrid. And whoever was expecting that, I was giving them a reality check, but you're still getting a very good Ronaldo at the same time. Because although he's not doing the step overs, he's not doing the fancy Olay tricks and that, he's still, you can just see how sharp he is and how much faster he is in the box and sniffing out the danger than everybody else. And him, for me, is the favourite for top goal scorer. I know we've got Lukaku and we've got a team that create a lot of chances. But Ronaldo being Ronaldo and who he is, and just knowing his mentality, he thrives for competition. So if he knows that there's a threat of Lukaku possibly outscoring him in the Premier League, he's going to rise up to that. So that's United in terms of having a man that's going to do the business at the top consistently. They've definitely got him in Ronaldo.
I said a few weeks ago that I feel like United bringing in Ronaldo puts him in that mix for the title race and all of that. I'm going to ask you, Rodri, do you think bringing in Ronaldo, obviously Jadon Sancho hasn't really hit the form yet, but that's to be expected coming into a new league. And obviously things are different for him than when it was at Dortmund and coming into United. But do you feel like bringing in Ronaldo was that kind of final piece to push for a title for United?
I think before Ronaldo come, we should have been pushing for a title. So yes, we still need a midfielder, but with Ronaldo coming in, like Goonie says, the guy's a goal scorer. He's just a threat in the box. I think he will get more than Lukaku, only because Lukaku, there's more quality in Chelsea, there are more goal scorers in Chelsea. They'll go around the team. Where United, I think they'll be more reliant on Ronaldo, which is a bad thing, really. So I think others need to step up. Rashford's coming back, looks strong. Greenwood, obviously, he chips in. But yeah, Sancho is just one of them ones. Some come in and hit the ground running. Some just take a little bit of time. It doesn't help that it costs 75 million quid. Touted for 100 million quid. I don't know where they're getting that type price from. Because what I'm seeing, I'm not seeing much. But I'm going to give the lad a chance and let him settle in. It's a big club. It's not Dortmund. It's Man United. So
yeah, 100%.
So just see what happens. But he's under pressure because he's a big price tag.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that as well. Goonie, I'm going to ask you about Donny van de Beek and Martial as well. And the reason I'm asking about those two is because do you see that there's a future for both of them at United?
No, I think with Donny van de Beek, the writing was on the wall pretty early for him. You've seen the way that Ollie's been treating him. I think the man management of him has been absolutely shocking, to be fair, because he's not a bad player. He's coming from a club like Ajax, which is a school of football. You know what I'm saying? So the man definitely knows how to play football, and I'm pretty sure that he's tactically aware, because over there in the Netherlands and in Germany, they're very on top with tactics from a younger age than they are in England. So I don't really see that being an excuse. And there's a thing where we say, Chelsea fans, we can see that United need to strengthen their midfield. Donny van de Beek isn't necessarily the answer to that question, because he doesn't have the skill set needed that we're talking about. And I can understand why it's difficult for him, because the players that they've got in front of him, but I still think he should have been given a lot more chances than he was given. In terms of Martial, this guy has had opportunities to really show the quality that I thought that he was going to show, because I thought he was going to turn himself into a consistent 20 goal a season striker. He's definitely got the skill set to do it. I don't know whether it's up here, if it's his mentality, or whether the injuries that he's had in his career has affected him. But even with him, I've not really seen enough for that consistency to say, yeah, this guy should be a starting name week in, week out, or should be getting more chances.
Yeah, it's a baffling one, because I think the way he started for Martial, I think the way that he started his United career, you would see him as like a 20 goal player, or at least hitting them kind of those numbers, because he started really well. But yeah, I think he's had the opportunity, and I think the fact that he didn't come on at the weekend and people are coming on before him as well, that's kind of telling. But it's going to be interesting for United. But for the other side of...
We've seen these kind of players come to Old Trafford before. Nani played well, but
fizzled out.
Just didn't really do it. And Martial's the same. He's got all the ability. He's the type of player that will go somewhere else and light it up somewhere. It just doesn't fit for him. He's not. Is he a centre forward? Is he a left wing? Yes, he'll score goals. Yeah, it's a difficult one. And then when you've got Ronaldo and Cavani, who are just an out strikers, you're always going to be second or third in line. So it's a tough one for him, because he is a good player.
Like you say, though, I think if he moves elsewhere, I look at like a Tammy Abraham who's gone to Roma, and he's hitting numbers now. So I think you're right. If he goes elsewhere, gets a bit more game time, gets a bit more consistency in his game as well, we'll probably see the best of him as well.
I think he's proper suited for Tottenham. He's a Tottenham player.
It's not a bad shout.
He can play a bit, but he's a bit of a fanny, yeah.
Yeah, he definitely suits Tottenham then. But yeah, moving on to City, the other side of Manchester, where they were frustrated by Southampton. Kieran, I'm gonna throw this to you. So obviously City dropping points is good for United and Chelsea fans, but what did you think of the game in terms of the way that City played? Were they missing a number 9?
Bro, I feel like you just reading my notes on my mind or whatever, because all the points we've made, Harry Kane playing from the left, dropping back into midfield, Ronaldo being the guy that just wants to bang goals. I've said it to you before. We were talking about the Champions League final, and my comment was both of these sides need a number 9 to stretch the play, and I feel Man City, and I feel like this is where Aguero, he's not disrespected, but I think people just saw him as like, I don't know what people saw him as, but I think he was such an important player to that system, because everyone was scared of him. As soon as he got the ball anywhere in the box, defenders drop off or they try and get tight. They have to change their whole tactic around him. And I feel like that's what they were missing a bit yesterday. I think I like Jesus. I think he's a really good player, but I think he's an inside forward or a winger. I don't think he's a centre forward. You know how I'm not really. I like Sterling, and he's a good number 9, but sometimes you don't really need that against a team that's going to sit back. I have to shout out Southampton because I wrote them off. I was looking at this game thinking, oh, this could be another 9, you know. It's like three seasons in a row, but they did really well. That system, to be fair, worked well for them. They had some really good performers. They should have had a penalty. That's another one where I'm looking at and I'm thinking, huh? I didn't get it. I don't know how they came to that conclusion that it was a foul on Kyle Walker. I don't know. Again, I'm not a referee, or I haven't done my refereeing badges. But yeah, I look at City because they've got a lot of injuries now. I can't remember exactly who's out, but I know they've got quite a few players that are out. I think Gundogan got injured as well. They've got a big weekend. I'm sure you man can tell me. I think they're playing Chelsea next weekend. Is that right?
Yeah, Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, that might get a bit nasty. I'm not a fan of Ake in that centre back pair, and I just every time he plays, it just look really disorganized, and it doesn't quite work for me. So yeah, I think Southampton were well worth their point. In fairness, City didn't really do enough for me to play well. But I'm gonna throw this at Goonie actually because I'm thinking title race, Man City. You said Liverpool the best of the rest, but playing them next weekend. I don't know if you saw the game or what's your thoughts on City, that result, and whether they're going to do anything to you, man, next weekend.
This is another one. I said it in the Man Knows Football group chat actually, Tito. I said I expect Southampton to hold Man City because,
yeah, you did.
Bro, it's one of those ones where I don't look at Man City like everybody else. I don't rate Diaz the way everybody else rates him. I don't think he's a bad centre back. I just don't think he's a world class one, and he's been found out quite a few times. Although yes, they did keep a clean sheet. Fair play to them. City, where they failed was signing that number 9. The way they went on about business this summer was atrocious because they obviously tried for Cristiano Ronaldo. You saw how that went. He ended up at Man United. Who else did they go in for? Harry Kane. You saw how that ended up. They really should have got that over the line, and I feel like they relied on that for their season going ahead, and that didn't happen. You cannot play against the better teams with Ferran Torres up front. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. You come up against Chelsea, Rudiger, whoever's back there is looking at this like this is going to be an easy day at the office. It is. So yeah, with City for me, I don't even have them finishing second at the end of the season. I've got Liverpool finishing above them, 100%. I'm just not convinced by City. And then you can see, even personally with Pep Guardiola, like outside of the field, what's going on with him. Like, can you see how he's addressing the fans and all the things that are going on? It's not looking good. I wouldn't be surprised if it's his last season at the club, to be fair.
Yeah, he's kind of alluded to that a little bit in some of the press conferences already this season. I think he's been asked that question. And to be honest, I think it kind of is the writing's on the wall in terms of the fact that I think obviously not winning the Champions League last season, that was the big thing that City wanted as well. And they didn't win that. So I think this kind of spells that he might leave. But Rod, I just wanted to ask you if you agreed with Goonie in terms of the fact that City really did need that number 9. Did they need a Harry Kane or a CR7? Have they got enough to play that false 9 all season? Like, I feel like they did that quite a lot last season, obviously with the injuries to Aguero. But do you feel like they missed out on that number 9 and that's going to come back to haunt them?
Well, they don't want Harry Kane that played yesterday because he started the game at number 9. So, but yeah, sooner or later it's going to catch up with him. You can't. They got away with it last year. They're not going to get away with it again. They have to strengthen. Yeah, I'm a pretty with Goonie with this one, and I don't think they'll be. I think they'll be there or thereabouts, but I don't think they'll be challenging because looking at him yesterday, I watched this game yesterday in full, and Southampton should have won easily. City were very, very poor. Didn't have a shot on target. A stonewall penalty. an absolute stonewall, and there's no coincidence that the VAR referee was Martin Atkinson, who was at West Ham United. So yeah, that says it all. He's a bad referee. He should be given his P45 because he's a bad one. It was a stonewall penalty, but Southampton, credit to him, because yeah, they did give it to City. They didn't sit back, and they, like I said, they should have won comfortably, but you know, City got away with it. You know, looking at Pep before the game, sat on the bench, 30 minutes before kickoff on his own, sulking. Yeah, it doesn't look good. So we'll see what comes out of it. But you can't criticise Manchester City fans. They are one of the most loyalist fans. You know, they were going some tin pot club grounds in League One and back in the late 90s. They are a hardcore fans. They're just not as big as Manchester United, Liverpool, these teams that got institutions. They've got to build on that, and they are building on that. But yeah, it's a lot of money as well. They played 61 games last year. You know, it's a lot of money to ask for people to play 3 games a week when it's always on the telly. So they just pick and choose. But you know, this one he should, you know, he was out of order and he should apologise and just move on. But he seems to dug his heels in and he's sulking about it.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting season for City.
Sorry to interrupt you, and we all know who's going to be the winner. The fans will always win. You know, these managers just holding it the place. You know, the fans will always win with situations like this.
I think it'd be interesting as well, because I think if he does go at the end of the season or whenever that is, it'd be interesting to see who they bring in after that. Because obviously there's not, I mean, who could come in really after a Pep Guardiola, who would potentially be available to come in and...
Well, it would be worrying if someone like Conte come in, because someone like him or a Diego Simeone, you know, because they would yes, they would change the football inside, but they'd give them a bit of steel about them. That quality that they've got in depth, you know, a manager like that, I think, could just make them a bit more stronger and solider, and a bit more variety.
My thing is though, Rod, would City fans accept a manager like Conte though, with the kind of football that he plays? Because they've been spoiled with some fluid football,
champagne football.
If he's winning, Gunny, and if he's winning, they'll, like I say, they're a bunch of City fans. So I don't know what he was on about criticising them, because they are a loyal bunch. I've got many friends who are City fans. So and they stick by him thick and thin. So he's picked the wrong battle there. So yeah, it's but to answer your question, yeah, if he's winning, yeah. But then you've got he's been at Chelsea, so I don't think they go that. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. But 2 teams that have started really well, Brentford and Brighton, have started very well this season. Brighton are in 4th, Brentford 9th as well, 8 points. I'll start with Brentford. I'll throw this to you, Goonie. Brentford have obviously played really good football. They started well. I think they had the first, the Arsenal game was the first Friday night football game that they played, and they done well there. But just give me your thoughts on Brentford so far. Obviously, Ivan Toney has played really well in the Premiership. A lot of people were talking about him before the season started and how will he cope with the Premiership. But what's your thoughts on Brentford so far?
Yeah, they've been good. They obviously they put in a result against Arsenal, which isn't really massive news these days, considering the fall away over the past 10 years or so. But nonetheless, to be a newly promoted club and to get result against them and keep a clean sheet is an achievement for them. The game this weekend, it was a masterclass from Ivan Toney on how to play a central forward role, how to run the channels, how to be in the correct positions.
All the things Harry Kane isn't doing.
Literally, that was a masterclass on that day. So with Brentford, again, that's one of the teams that I was nailed on to be staying in the Premier League, because I know a little bit about Brentford because my cousin used to play for them before he went to Bournemouth. The way they scout, they're very, very like down to the last detail. So they watch their opposition games and they take every single stat from each player, and they show they present their players and the squad their weaknesses in the team, and that will then in turn decide what system and how they're going to play against them in the next game. So Brentford, they are where they are. It's not an accident. This is hard work, and I can see them staying and possibly even finishing top half of the league.
Kieran, you agree with that?
Yeah. I'm a massive fan of Ivan Toney. I really I followed his career as he's kind of resurrected it and come back through the leagues. I think he's done really well. Of course, as a unit, Brentford have been really good. They've made some clever signings. I wonder with them, just having watched their games, I find sometimes they can be a bit 50-50. Like they've obviously won games and they're a quarter of the way there in terms of safety pretty much. I wonder some games could have easily gone the other way. And you just worry about that a little bit. I feel like they'll be fine. I think even just by default, we talked about it anyway every week. There are so many teams that are looking, I think, I hope you go down because I'm just sick of the sight of, like the football's dreadful. Newcastle fans, but they need to go down and come up and sort it all out. But I think they'll be fine. I do wonder if they'll have Leeds syndrome next season, though. Personally, I know they're not playing exactly the same style of football, but there's just something uneasy when I watch them where I feel like, I don't know, maybe they could get found out. But take nothing away from them. They've made a fantastic start, won some good games. I'm looking forward to seeing them play against the sort of top 6 sides, seeing how they get on. I feel like they could cause a lot of trouble, and they're just going to be fun. That's what you want in the Prem, don't you? Teams that are going to be enjoyable to watch, whoever they play.
Yeah, and ironically, the game that they lost so far this season is against Brighton, who is, like I said, have started the season really well, 4th, holding up a Champions League spot at the moment. But Rodri, I just want to ask you about Brighton, because I've spoke about them on here before. I've got them going down. I still believe crazy. I still think they can go down. Crazy. Like with 5 games in, yes, they've won 4. They've only lost 1. There's a lot of football to play. Are they going to be able to maintain the football that they're playing now? Are they going to do that all season? I don't think so. But rather, I want to hear from you about Brighton. What do you think?
Well, do you really think they'll go down?
I think Brighton will.
I don't.
Really? I think they'll be down there. I think they've had a good start. They'll be down there. But I just think there's 3 worse teams than Brighton.
Oh.
I hear what you're saying though. I think not always the team that you expect to go down goes down though. And I think they play some good football, which they do. But I think as them games come thick and fast, if they're not putting the ball in the back of the net, which is what they fail to do a lot of times in their games, they're brilliant creating chances, but they fail to score goals. And I think for me, this good start to the season is probably just exactly the worst thing that potentially could happen to them, because eventually what will happen is they'll fall off.
I just want to say though, T-Dot, we talked about them last season and they didn't have a bad season last season. They were unlucky. And this is what I was saying to you and Jesse, why I said this, because I know we got someone called us out. And I just want to take my name away from that. I don't have.
No, I put my name on it. I'm not bothered. I think they're gonna go down. I don't think they're good enough. They've got good players. I don't think they're a good team.
They play good football. They make loads of chances,
but they don't score enough goals.
But the thing. They don't. But they do enough. They do enough, and I think sometimes they've been a bit unlucky. I feel they will go down, and I have said that. I feel eventually when they lose Potter and there's a few other players,
you're sitting on the fence there a little bit.
No. They will go down. Next season after, when they lose their manager and a couple more players. But when you actually look at that squad and watch them play football, the way they play, some of the players they've got, they could still lose 1 or 2 players, and they'll be fine. I don't even think they'll be down there fighting. Like they're not worse than Newcastle. They're not worse than Burnley. I don't know what, but Burnley are weird. They're not worse than Norwich. It's like what Rodri was saying. There's 3 teams that are clear of them that are going down, and then after that you've got a whole bunch of teams. I think they could be a surprise and finish top 10, top 9 this season. Personally,
I gotta agree with Kieran. Aside from maybe the top half finish, but I'll say this. Their manager, Graham Potter, is not to be underestimated. I think he's a very, very good manager. And I think last season he was unfortunate not to finish higher than he actually did, because they got a lot of draws last year that they really should have won had they had a little bit of clinical edge about him in those games. Mopai, early into the season, he's scoring goals. He seems to be their talisman this year. So if they can keep him up to form, I can see them staying up absolutely no problem. Burnley, for me, look like they look like shit. Norwich, same way. Yeah, so those two teams I've 100% got going down before them. Who's the third team in the relegation zone?
So you got
currently?
Newcastle, Burnley, and Norwich are in there at the moment. No wins.
Newcastle, I feel with Brucey, like his comfort zone will be the scrap, and I think they're just gonna come onto a form where they're just gonna be getting games. Yeah, you know, I think for them it's gonna come down to the wire, and Saint Maximin or Callum is gonna score the goal, and Saint James's is just gonna go mental. I think that's what's gonna happen with them this year.
We have to see, man. I'm gonna let Rodri finish off because he got cut off before. But you were saying about Brighton in terms of that you think they might stay up, or they will stay up. Not that they might, but they will stay up.
Just backing up what Kieran said there, you know, I think there's 3 or 4 teams that possibly even 5 that are worse than Brighton. I didn't get it when they appointed Graham Potter, because I thought Chris Hughton was a very good coach. He kept them up, but you know, slowly but surely, seems to, if you watch them play, they do play exciting football, good, nice football, just easy on the eye. But yeah, you know, once you get into the thick of it, I think they'll start dropping points. But you know, they're one of the teams that you can, like I say, you can watch because they're easy on the eye. But yeah, there's 4 or 5 teams that are worse than worse than them, definitely. Norwich, even though Watford have got a couple of results, Burnley have been poor. You know, we spoke about on shooting the fence. After 60 minutes, they seem to blow a gasket and teams just roll them over. So Arsenal got a good win with them on Saturday. Yes, it was an early goal, but you know, once you're 1-0 down against Arsenal, it's always going to be difficult. So yeah, Newcastle, I think they'll be safe because Bruce he'll just do enough, and they've got enough quality. Callum Wilson, Joe Linton, Maximin. You know, they've got sprinkles of quality there. Ayew Watford as well. That Zaha, the kid, you've got a couple on the weekend. He seems a good player. Will we be able to keep hold of him? So yeah, but there's at least 4 teams worse than Brighton. But they have had a good start, and like I said, they are easy on the eye.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to being wrong. You know, I want to come back on here. I apologize to Brighton fans if I'm wrong, but if I'm not, then I don't know what to say. But yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting season. Before you guys go, I want to just get, obviously, I'm going to start with Goonie. Obviously, we've already spoke about this. Chelsea's winning the league, all of that stuff. I'm going to go to Rodri. Who do you tip at the moment based off how the season started? Who do you see finishing top of the league this season?
Well, obviously, I want United to win, but you know, at the start of the season, I fancy Chelsea, and you know, my mind's not changed on that. So, yes, I would like United to win it, but you know, Chelsea do look strong. The squad, the manager's making correct decisions, good decisions, and yeah, sickening it is, but yeah.
Kieran, you're the neutral apparently of the group tonight, so I'm gonna let you speak on your beloved United.
I've told you about United already anyway. There's not enough in the big games. So for me, they're not in it. Comfortable top 4, maybe 3rd. But it's, for me, the league is Chelsea scraping it just ahead of Liverpool. I don't think it's going to be like wrapped up because I feel Chelsea have got too many interests in other competitions. I think Tuchel is going to be going for Champions League again. To be the first English side to retain it since Nottingham Forest, I think. Like, and obviously the first one in the new format, but first one to retain the European Cup. I think that's what they're going to be going for. So I feel like Liverpool will be just behind. United won't be challenging, but they're not in danger of finishing outside the top 4. And Man City, hard to tell, but probably 3rd, maybe. Don't know. Got 2 thirds, but yeah, there you go.
Joint 3rd, but Goonie, just before we wrap up, let the listeners know where they can find you on YouTube and all of that stuff as well again.
One more time, Man Knows Football on YouTube, and then obviously Troops is back again. Yeah, and here you might find me here a few times, so make sure you stick to this channel as well. You might see my face. Me and T are good friends, so yeah, man.
Yeah, Roger, where can the listeners find you if you want them to find you?
Rod James Giggs at Twitter. Monday nights usually doing Shoot the Defence, but we did it this morning, so that's why I jump on. Sorry for being late, but I had a coaching call 6 till 9. I had to drive back and then just jumped on, so apologies for the lateness.
No, I appreciate you jumping on. It's always appreciated as well. And Goonie as well, the same for you. Appreciate you jumping on, taking the time out as well.
Yeah, no worries, man. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, this is episode 62, man. I think everyone's tired, apart from Goonie, I can see pure sunshine in the background, man.
Yeah, it's only like 5:30 over here.
New York City sunshine. But yeah, man, obviously episode 62. Well, in fact, let me do that properly before we wrap up. You can follow us at the PTTW podcast on Instagram and Twitter and all of that stuff. YouTube as well. Like and subscribe. All of that stuff as well. But yes, episode 62 wrapped up. Until next time, thank you all for listening and tuning in. We will be back next week.